Okay, we have a player from Germany. 1700 approximately. So let's play a Fianchetto opening. And now I have choice to play d6, c5 or c6 maybe even. What I want to do now is to play a very defensive style. I just let him attack myself, you know. So I'm not sure about c4 if it's really that good, because now I can play d5. I think I can now turn the whole position into like a Grunfeld defense, which normally starts with d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3 and d5. And I think I have a good version of this now, because my c5 pawn is already exchanged against the pawn d4, and it's very easy for me now to develop. I can play knight c6, knight g4, bishop g4, and even think about playing b6, bishop b7 maybe. Putting the rooks on c8, d8 is often a good possibility. And I can play against an isolated pawn, because white, if I take the pawn on c4, has a pawn on d4 which cannot be protected by other pawns. There is another video around about creating a weakness, and in this case here it's not that bad at the moment, because if you have such a pawn and there are a lot of pieces around, there are some attacking chances. You have a very nice outpost on e5 normally for the pieces, so it's not that bad at the moment. So what I want to do now is concentrate first on development. So what is better, to play g4, maybe exchanging some pieces, or playing b6? I prefer b6. And then I want to put some pressure on c4. I could try to play something like e6 as well, even protecting d5 a little bit more. And knight a5 might be an idea now, because then I have a lot of pressure on c4. As you can see, d5 is taking c4, the knight and the rook, and it's just protected twice. So white needs to make a decision here. I'm curious what he wants to do. If he takes here, it's just b3 was more or less a waste of time. And then I would want, if he really exchanges here, my next task is just to exchange as many pieces as possible, because in the end game, then d4 would be a weakness. Maybe you're thinking about playing c5, but I'm really not sure about this, because I could try maybe to play rook e8, e5. I have a strong center. I mean, because I take, it takes back, and then there are two pawns in the center from my side, and none of white. But here we have the position I talked about, and I think this is a good position for me. He cannot move the knight now to e5, for example, because then there would be a mate on g2. It's not possible for him to play bishop c4, because this knight is quite good here. And now I want to put more pressure here on d4. And if he exchanges all the rooks, that's good for me. I like to exchange as many pieces as possible. And here I already I'm not sure if I can take here on c1. He takes back, playing e5. Is this already winning the pawn here? Maybe. If I take here, it can take with the queen, however. Maybe I just play solid. I really don't want him to play in any kind of position, possible d5, so I overprotect it now. And here I hope that he wants to play bishop f3, because if he plays bishop f3, I just go back and then he hopefully exchanges here enough. I have even more pieces exchanged. I don't like that much the position of the knight here anymore. Maybe I want to regroup the knight to d5 via c6, e7, d5. You know what? I will do this. I like this plan. Maybe he plays bishop f3. I'm happy about this. Now I just ask myself if my queen is better here or here, because I could exchange here, or I wait until he exchanges here. Now I play knight c6, because is d5 a threat? Yeah, maybe d5. So exchange one piece here. And now d5 is no threat, and I would love him to play something like bishop c6, because I think this bishop would get very strong then. And if he doesn't do it, I play knight e7, which might be very good there afterwards. I just wonder if he can play bishop g5 maybe. I mean, this pawn gets weak, but that's interesting. He needs to take care about d4. I mean, if you look at it, I already could take here maybe, but now my bishop, my knight, and these two pieces are all attacking d4. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Now I have the bishop pair, and there is a strong weakness. I mean, a strong weakness. Yeah, there is a weakness, and this knight is a little bit lost here. I already threatened to play bishop f6 maybe. What I need to take care is, I like this, because now this pawn structure is destroyed. Okay, but I just need to speed up. Now you have a lot of weaknesses here on the white squares. I could play e5 maybe already. What does he want to do? He doesn't want to protect here. I could play e5. Can't take. Let's bring this bishop first on this diagonal. Maybe it's helpful here later on. And now I will regroup my pieces, playing maybe rook f5 even, attacking here a little bit more. I don't care about this pawn. He already has a problem now. Oh, I need to speed up.
Check. Time warning.
19 seconds. That's not a lot. My simple threat is to play. I could have taken here. Yeah. I just thought, okay, directly attacking here at 4, but in the same moment I thought that rook d1 is hanging, so I could just take here. Yeah, and now he just escapes. Okay. But f3 is still a weakness. Yeah, and this looks like if he is threatening something, but I mean he's much too slow, and I can checkmate him now. hopefully very quickly.
White forfeits on pawn.
Okay, but he needed to go to h4, and then you have the checkmate on f4. I mean, what you can learn from this game is the strategy, what to do with isolated pawns. I mean, I had a very simple plan, starting from this position almost, that I thought I want to play against this weakness here. Exchanging this pawn sooner or later, then there is an isolated pawn which can't be protected by other pawns, so it's a weakness. I can attack it. It will be difficult for white to protect the pawn, and then I want to exchange as many pieces as possible, because in the end game this pawn is a weakness, and that's what I did. If you look here, I wanted to exchange as much pieces as possible. So here I mean, he can't. What does he want to do? This knight is attacked. Otherwise, if he protects with a rook, I can take with another rook. So here I have a lot of pressure now on g2. This is very uncomfortable for white, so I understand that he wants to play something like bishop f3 later on, and yeah, it's difficult for white to find an active plan. So I exchanged some pieces. He already has a problem with the pawn on d4. Yeah, I attack it 4 times, so he needs to give me the pair of bishop. This is very strong now for me, and I like this position very, very much. I mean, if you look at the material, it's equal. Yeah, okay, I have a bishop against a knight, but let's say it's equal from this side, because it's roughly the same value, and both sides have 6 pawns. But here I think every better player would agree that black is much better. I have strong bishops. I have a play against this pawn on d4. This knight is totally misplaced. I can exchange this knight sooner or later. The only thing I don't want to do in this position is playing f6, and then he protects the pawn somehow, and then the knight, and playing with opposite colored bishops, because this is often drawish. However, I mean, he can't play something like g3 to protect it, because then there would be terrible threats around this diagonal. But just to give you the idea, I don't want to exchange this bishop normally against for this knight. So yeah, but what does he want to do if I play something like bishop f6? He can't play really g3, I think. And if he plays bishop g5, I just take another exchange another piece, and this knight will never come into the game. I can always exchange it against this bishop here. If he goes to f3, or if he moves this, it goes to g2, I will take it. So then in the end there is a weak pawn. So here there's another weakness. So I have 2 weaknesses now, or even 3, you can say. The pawn on h3, f3, and d4, and this is too much. It is very hard for white now to defend this. He tries to be active as possible. I want to improve the position of my bishop, and here, I mean, yeah, okay, it's ridiculous that I didn't take on d1, but I mean, the thing is, the position is so clearly won that I just thought, okay, I take the pawn now on f4, and even in this position, black is so much better. White can do nothing, and yeah, this is why I directly played it. And yeah, this is just mate. I think it's even quicker, but king h4 is now forced, and then rook f4, it's a mate. So here you have the strategy for isolated pawns. Exchange pieces, try to even create more weaknesses in the enemy camp, and just wait for the end game. And here's a game, you just saw it, and how it could work in your games as well.